On this week's edition of Stony Brook News.
What has SBU students up in arms this week?
Could midwives curb the high Black maternal mortality rate?
All that and more on this week's edition of Stony Brook News.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. I'm Rosemary Ann.
And I'm Nicholas Stenotic.
SBU students occupied a prime piece of campus real estate last Wednesday to protest what they believe is a systematic discrimination by the university. The demonstrators argued that administrators don't do enough to secure accessibility for less than fully able students. Our reporter Jonathan Puya was present at the demo and has more.
Stony Brook, respect the ADA! Stony Brook, respect the ADA!
The ADA is the American with Disabilities Act, a federal law mandating equal opportunity for the disabled. And on Wednesday, Stony Brook students protested that the university was skirting that law. They demanded better accessibility for students with physical disabilities and insisted that the university make existing pieces of technology function properly.
The handicap buttons, they are not working for the most part. When they fix them, they take too long to fix them.
The group kicked off the march at the Students' Activity Center, where they share what they believe are flaws within the university's enforcement of the American with Disabilities Act.
Currently, if you look at all major events, including ceremonies, we do not have that written. How can people with disabilities attend these major events if they don't know where to turn?
Brought this up time and time again to various members and faculty of the administration, and I was just told it's going to take time and money, which in this day and age I believe to be unacceptable.
Another topic they touched upon was mental health.
And voluntarily hospitalized myself for suicidal thoughts. I was also suspended from classes because of my mental illness.
Dr. Marisa Baisiani, Assistant Vice President for Student Health, Wellness and Prevention Services, said via email that the staff from the Counseling and Psychological Services don't make the decision to send students home when they have a crisis, but rather support them to make a decision that fits their circumstances. A representative from the Student Accessibility Support Center wasn't available for comment. Right here at Melville Library is 1 out of 3 buttons protesters said have been reported to the university. As you can see, this one is dangling, and in order to make it work, you really need to put some muscle. Now, I could open the door myself, but things could be way more complicated if I rely on a wheelchair or some other form of support to move around.
Disability rights are human rights!
At the end of the march, Fernandez was excited because administrators have agreed to discuss some of these issues and possible solutions, but didn't want to disclose any names because she's waiting on their confirmation. From the Office of Administrations, for Stony Brook News, I'm Jonathan Puya.
College students are usually completely against new fees, but this past week the student government at Georgetown voted in favor of a noteworthy new one. Undergraduate students would pay $27.20 each semester into a reconciliation fund, which would be overseen by the students and descendants of 272 slaves sold by the school in 1838. However, the administration has said that while it does take student feedback into consideration, the vote was not binding.
Speaking of student government, wasn't the USG elections last week?
It certainly was, and that vote was binding. Our reporter Jim Lowe caught up with USG's president-elect, Shahir Khan.
Oh hey, I didn't see you there. My name is Shahir Khan. I'm a junior at Stony Brook University, and I am your new president-elect for the undergraduate student government. So my morning routine starts off pretty early. I wake up at 7 a.m. just because I like having breakfast at home. The go-to breakfast meal for us is eggs, just because it's easy to make and it's like really nutritious. It has protein and the healthy fats that you need to help you, sustain energy throughout the day. And we're also a big fan of using like fresh vegetables, so spinach, tomatoes, and mushrooms. We usually put that in the eggs that we make, and we eat our eggs scrambled. That's how I like it personally. My father's from Pakistan and my mom's from Nepal, so a lot of South Asian flavors are infused within the foods I eat. I use a lot of cumin, coriander, turmeric, something called garam masala. It's a great way to add flavor to your food. A lot of the times I like using a paratha. It's it's a very flaky bread with a lot of layers, and it's just a great way to complement the eggs.
After finishing up his breakfast and his morning routine, Shahir Khan got into the meat and potatoes of his campus initiatives.
What USG really has to do, and under my presidency, I want to make sure that the undergraduate student government really connects more deeply and more intimately with the student body population. USG as a whole has not been able to individually reach out to students and let them know what different initiatives we're working on. Even if we think about the current election, only about 5% of the student population voted. Now, this itself is an issue, and it's important for us to make sure that all students know the resources that are available. I do feel having more forums, having more social media outreaches would really help connect both the undergraduate student government, the executive council, and the senators with the greater Stony Brook student body.
The current USG administration has left a bitter taste in students' mouth. Let's see what Chef Shahir cooks up during his time in office. For Stony Brook News, I'm Jim Lowe.
Hey Rosemary, is it me or is it kind of humid outside today?
I think so too, because my hair's feeling really big. But let's turn it over to our weatherman, Justin Bettenhauser, to see if I'll have to deal with this humidity all week. Justin?
Thank you, Rosemary. I don't know about you guys, but this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, I didn't even need my alarm clock to wake me up as there was a loud roar of thunder. And from that system, there was relative humidity, and that persists even now as it's 80% relative humidity. Currently, the temperature is in the low 60s, and it's partly cloudy skies. Now, going into the hourly forecast, we will see it's going to be windy today with temperatures dropping to the mid 40s. Now, into our 7-day forecast, we will see bright sunny skies with temperatures in the low 60s. Perfect day to be out in the academic mall, even the Stoller Steps. However, Friday, there's going to be a huge change. Relative humidity will go back up, and you will experience a bad hair day as thunder showers will come into our vicinity Friday nights. As for this weekend, temperatures will remain in the low 60s. That's it for the weather. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Justin. Less than 1 week after Howard Bunces came to campus to discuss his audit of Stony Brook University's budget, Governor Andrew Cuomo paid SBU a visit to detail his new $175.5 billion state budget. While Cuomo touted several new additions which are supposed to help the Long Island economy, he did not comment on the budget controversy here at SBU, take questions from the press, or even stop to talk to students. You wouldn't think maternal mortality would be a problem for a major country in 2019, but that's not the case for the United States. The U.S. is the only developed country with a rising maternal mortality rate, and it disproportionately impacts African American women. Let's go to Liz Pulver for the story.
Pour me some, please. Can I have some, please?
Shakira Bublin was planning on giving birth to her daughter the same way as her first two kids, in the hospital with a midwife. But that all changed when she unexpectedly went into labor in her own home.
My midwife gets here, she throws her coat off, she grabs my leg, she didn't even glove up or anything. She grabs my leg, she's like, Shakira, give me one good push. And I tell you, one good push and that baby slid out like butter. It was just like...
However, for many women, labor and delivery does not go as smoothly as it did for Shakira. Black women in America are 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women, regardless of their education level or socioeconomic standing. Reports have tied this statistic to access to care and systemic racism in the medical field.
As a black woman, I didn't really feel like stigmatized. But I know, I'm pretty sure there are other women, black women, that probably have issues around their pregnancy or with their labor and delivery. I had a really great midwife, and even at the hospital, I had a best nurse.
Rakaya Watts, a certified nurse midwife at Stony Brook Hospital, believes that diversity in the field could attract more women towards midwifery.
I can't tell you the times that I've had patients who come into the office and they see me and sort of the look on their face when they see a provider who looks like them, who maybe they feel like can understand some cultural norms and things that someone else can't understand, will sort of decrease the disparities and increase better outcomes for women.
The United States is the only developed country in the world with a rising maternal mortality rate. In similar countries like the UK and Netherlands, midwives attend over 60% of all births. But in the United States, they attend less than 8%.
I think midwives have such a stigma around them that people are just afraid. They're like, no, I want a doctor, he's been to school, he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? As if the midwife doesn't know what she's doing.
For most women, having a baby is a very natural life process. that doesn't have a lot of complications, and having that sort of relationship where you feel heard, where you feel respected, I think overall increases better outcomes.
When I go to my midwife, when I had her, we would sit down and chat. She would ask me things about like what's going on, you know. It just was like a homey environment. It's an awesome experience to have, and I would want every woman to experience it.
For Stony Brook News, I'm Liz Pulver.
Hey Nick, did you know that Tiger Woods still plays golf?
I did, but it didn't seem like we'd seen him in an important Sunday in a long time, until this weekend. For more on that, let's turn it over to our sports reporter, Kira Dennehy.
It was a huge weekend for sports. The biggest moment was one that was over 5,000 days in the making, as Tiger Woods finally brought home another green jacket. The 43-year-old won the Masters on Sunday, earning his 15th career major win and his first since 2008. The New York Islanders are taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins in their first-round matchup and have been dominant. In Game 1, Josh Bailey scored his first career playoff overtime goal as the Isles took down the Pittsburgh Penguins. They then made quick work of the Penguins in Game 2 and 3, and the potential clinching Game 4 is tomorrow evening in Pittsburgh. From one New York playoff team to another, the Brooklyn Nets started their playoff run on a high note this week too, upsetting the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 1 of their series 111-102. Game 2 is tonight in Philly. The Yankees have been having a rough April. The team now has 12 players on the injured list, and after being swept in Houston, they lost 2 out of 3 to the rebuilding Chicago White Sox at home this weekend. The team needs to get in gear this week as the Red Sox are coming to town for the first time this season. The Mets, on the other hand, are just a half game out of the first place in the NL East. This weekend, in a 4-game set with the division rival Braves, the Mets won the first 2 games, but dropped the final 2. Tonight, the Mets are in Philly to take on the first-place rivals for the first game of the 3-set series. The Stony Brook baseball team had a busy weekend up in Binghamton. Game 1 of Saturday's doubleheader left spectators on the edge of their seats. While Binghamton had the lead in the 7th inning, the Seawolves were able to come back, and in the 10th, junior Nick Grande drove the winning game's run. Unfortunately, they couldn't bring home the win for the second game, losing 5-0. But they bounced back and finished the series strong on Sunday with a 6-3 win. The team will face our bitter rival Albany at home this weekend, and Friday and Saturday. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys.
The danger of traveling in an Uber alone has been making headlines as the death of one college student happened in what was supposed to be a safe ride home. Our reporter Danielle Tomlinson has more details on how to travel safely.
Hi, what's my name? Hi, how are you? I'll pick it up, Danielle.
Asking this simple question could save your life. Samantha Josephson, a 21-year-old student from the University of South Carolina, got into an Uber alone last month, assuming the car was there for her. Surveillance footage captured Samantha getting into the back of a Chevy Impala, never to be seen alive again. During a vigil for Samantha, her father urged riders to take Uber safety more seriously.
What we have learned is that you cannot, men or women, you guys have to travel together.
The rideshare company has responded by releasing a set of guidelines to help prevent such accidents from happening again. The keys? Be sure to match the license plate, make and model of the vehicle, and the driver's name and photo with the information listed on your app. Major signs on your car should be a matching license plate number and an Uber symbol in the front right windshield.
So any student calling an Uber should ensure that all that information is correct and it matches the car and the driver that shows up. They also have a very good new feature where you can share your ride with a friend that we definitely encourage students to do as well.
All safety features are available near the driver's information. You can call or text them ahead of pickup to set a specific meeting place. Other safety features within the app include a color alert screen to match you with the correct driver. You can even follow your ride on a separate GPS app within your phone to be aware of the correct route to your destination. Along with the guidelines that Uber has released to help keep you safe, the company also recommends that riders not stand outside waiting for a ride, staring at their phone screens, as it can make you appear more vulnerable to attackers. Reporting for the Stony Brook News, I'm Danielle Tomlinson.
Well, I'll be sure to use these tips so that I can travel safely, and you should too.
No doubt. Stay safe out there, Seawolves.
And happy belated birthday to our technical director, Phil Altier. That's all we have for this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. Thanks for watching. I'm Rosemary Ann.
And I'm Nicholas Donatic. Have a great day and a happy Easter.
Thank you.